So a movie that we were looking forward to, as well as the found footage community, back when we were welcomed. I don't know what happened. I got kicked out of that freaking found footage group on Facebook, which had like 10,000 members, as well as most of my friends also did. So I don't know what the hell happened there. I don't know if they just got rid of the found footage group, but it's gone. And I really liked going there because we just talked about found footage, and that's something that our channel has gotten known for. And it's something we always look forward to, especially with these more independent, smaller budgeted fairs like this. So Dutch Merrick is what she went with. I went with Marich, and then I started being like Marish. And then I was like, God, I have no idea. I apologize. We've become somewhat of friends on the interwebs, on Instagram. He contacted me after we had reviewed his first film, after we had covered his first film, he contacted me and was like, thank you, and here's a screener for part 2. And then he contacted me later and was like, I'm going to get you a screener for part 3, and eventually did. This movie is available to rent on Amazon Prime right now. So Firewatch, Horror in the High Desert 3. It's the other way around, but he finally got it out to me, and I am very happy to report a couple things. Number 1, Horror in the High Desert 4 has already been filmed.
Yeah.
And I get to announce that right here, right now. Yay! Another thing, Dutch said that he wants to have me come, or us come out to... Actually, he said me. I don't know if you're invited.
Oh, okay.
But to the premiere for part 4, he said he was even willing to fly me out. No. So there is a part 4. So for anyone who's excited for this one, know that a part 4 is on the way, and this movie ends with a tease for part 4. So it is on the way.
Yes.
And it should be coming out quicker. And this is going to become the next Blackwell Ghost or Bad Ben, where we're into like 8, 9 films, which is fine.
High Desert 10.
So we follow the events leading up to... I don't really know how to say that. But I'll say it this way. So in the first film, because the second film kind of sidetracks a bit. It deals with other horrors in the high desert, but in the first movie we follow this character, Gary Hinge, and he goes missing while exploring the desert. And his sister and other people are looking for him. And something happens in his footage which unsettles people. Mm-hmm. And you have a whole mess of people that are out looking for him. So we get to the events of this one, and in this one, it's become kind of like the beginning of the Blair Witch 2, where everyone's kind of become obsessed with this story, and they're overcrowding the area and making it impossible for anyone to actually go in and look for something. Then enters our main character here, Oscar. I think it's Mendoza, I think is what it was. So Oscar has some inside information, and he uses this fire that's happening in the area, which is like diverting people away from the area, that gives him the ability to go in and not have to deal with all the looky-loos and all the people who are out there, trying to solve the mystery, but it's all just like a fun game to them.
Yeah.
And we then find his footage.
Yes.
And we're watching that. Which, this is found footage. But this is, okay, the way that we would classify these films is this is more of a mockumentary style. We are dealing with filmmakers who have compiled this and are doing interviews, and then we get to see bits and pieces of the information delved out to us. Mm-hmm. Delved out? No. Divvied out. That works.
Dealt out. Would have been, right?
Dealt out? Whatever it is, it's been...
Divvied out, yes.
And so, I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, me too.
This might be my favorite of the 3.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed all three.
Yeah, same.
So this is definitely a very solid found footage mockumentary franchise at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's say this, because this, of course, is important when it comes to these. These types of movies are really only for found footage enthusiasts. I think that people who are like, I don't like this gimmick, this isn't the kind of movie that's going to win you over. It's, you got to be buying into this style, right? Because it's trying its best. And with a movie like this, number one thing is that, like a movie specifically like this one, the presentation can be off-putting to people because they will find it boring or like, oh, nothing happens. This is more of like a mystery film, right? That reveals pieces to you than something that is like, you know, scary stuff is going on all around you all the time. Like the Paranormal Activity movies or something is something where it's like every 5 minutes there needs to be some kind of a gimmick.
Sure.
And I love that. Don't get me wrong. I love those movies. But this is a different style. This is something, it kind of reminds me of maybe something like a Lake Mungo, right? Where we get a slow exploration of evidence and events, and they're divvied out to us slowly.
Yeah.
And I can see people being not interested in this. But if you already enjoyed the first two, then you're good to go on this one.
Oh, absolutely.
So when we're already this far into the franchise, if you're not on board and you're like, well, this one better win me over, like you're here because you enjoyed at least the first one and you're like, I want to see the continuation of Gary's story. I think this is a solid continuation where we're following someone else who is a much interesting character. And shout out, we're going to get to you right now, but my last thing to say here is shout out to the actor who played Oscar. Very charismatic.
Yeah.
A much different character than Gary. Very likable and like relatable, and I thought his performance was great.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I echo like everything that you said. I think that this is a great little found footage franchise that's going. And, you know, one of the things that I think all of the Horror in the High Deserts do really well, there's a few things, but maybe the top for me with found footage is how realistic and believable everybody is.
Immersive.
It's so immersive, and this one is no different than the other two. I feel like everybody that is talking on camera, you know, whether it's Oscar or these other characters, they all feel like real people and they're very authentic, and I love that. And so the second thing would be like, I mean, that's a testament to the writing as well. I think that the dialogue and the writing in general is very realistic, very grounded, and it just is wonderful for immersion.
Don't forget the editing.
And the editing, yes. The editing is also key. All of it.
Yeah.
Because, the camera work, especially when you're just like, it's like one person that's out there like looking around and stuff, that's hard to do, and it's done very well. It really makes you like very suspenseful. Like there's this one segment at the end of the movie that we were just like, no, don't stop shining your light, like don't turn around, like it's because it's like so scary, and you just think like any minute there's gonna be something, and I love that. I think that's really cool.
I think there could be like people who are displeased and kind of making fun of what the reveal ends up being. It kind of reminds me of like Willow Creek, which I didn't like that reveal because I was like, really, that's what this all was in the end. We get something revealed at the end that I think might not work for some people. They'll be like, really? Because I'm just seeing the reviews in my head. People discussing this movie, and it'd be like, oh my god, this one was like, I liked the other ones, but I really didn't like this one. I waited the whole movie for it to be that. Like, and I can just tell what they would say, and I'd be like, I get it, and I can't say what it is right now, obviously. We're not doing spoilers, but I thought it was cool.
I did too. I really liked it.
It's definitely unique.
Yeah, very much.
You know, it's pretty bold because I was like, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have thought of that. I still need to process it, but it definitely takes it in a new direction.
Yeah.
That I'm like, okay, interesting.
The implications too are even creepier, and so it makes me very excited for the next one to see what goes on from there. Mm-hmm. Personally, but I get what you're saying, and I do think that will be possibly a complaint for some people, you know. But I mean, it's hard, right? Like, you can never make everybody happy, and people find different things scary. So it's for us it worked. We're a big fan of the franchise so far. We like all the movies, so yeah. It's definitely, if you like mockumentaries and you haven't, for some reason you're just watching this review and you haven't seen like the other ones, you definitely should check out the first two.
100% need to watch both before this.
Yeah.
And they're both on Tubi.
Yes. So.
Yeah. So if you're a big found footage enthusiast and for some reason you have skipped over these, now Dutch, let me tell you something. You need to go to IMDb. I don't know how you get it. I don't know how this is done. I don't know who you have to contact, what you got to do. But if you go to Horror in the High Desert and you go down to like the recommended stuff, down there it should say followed by Horror in the High Desert 2, Horror in the High Desert 3.
Yeah.
And then you need to also add a spot now for Horror in the High Desert 4 and make sure that they're all linked. Because if I go to Horror in the High Desert 1, 2, or 3, if I go down to that area, it just recommends stuff and it has no, obviously with a part 2, it's like, oh, there's a part 1, but you don't know there's a part 3, right? Mm-hmm. So like you need to absolutely be going to IMDb because that's where most people go for their information on these types of movies. And if someone really liked Horror in the High Desert 1 and they go to IMDb to look at it, if they'll pan down a little bit and be like, oh, I wonder if there's ever a sequel. And it's like, no sequel? Ah, shit.
Yeah.
There is no followed by, preceded by kind of thing down there, which every sequel should have that on IMDb. So this has been out long enough. The first one is like 2 or 3 years old at this point. So there's no excuse for that to not be attached. I know it's not your fault, but you got to make sure that you fix that because people need to know. Mm-hmm. As I said, both of the first 2 are on Tubi. I have a feeling this will be on Tubi eventually, but you should support this. We didn't because we got a screener, but we're here to tell you to do it. So that's how we support it, by all of y'all spending your $4 or $5.
It's worth
to rent this.
It's worth it. We always like supporting indie horror creators, and
I don't know. I feel like if you were a fan of the first 2, you're already gonna watch this.
Oh, of course.
There's no reason that we're but maybe, who knows? Some people might have gotten annoyed that part 2 didn't follow the story of 3 or 1, and we're like coming here to be like, okay, do we get back to the primary story of part 1? You know how people get with like sidelining the main storyline in a franchise. Halloween 3, anybody? We love that movie, by the way. Almost everyone does now. In fact, when we were at Mad Monster, I talked to a ton of people, and we all kind of agreed, like, I think everyone loves that movie now, for the most part.
Yeah, it's so funny.
It's harder to find someone who doesn't.
Yeah.
So I think, if anyone is like that with Minerva, part 2 of this franchise, and it gets to, we're already at part 4, with him wrapping that. I don't know if he has plans to go to a 5 and a 6 or whatever. But I get it. And Kaylee and I would love to do something like this. We'd love to have a franchise, a found footage franchise like Bad Ben, or like, Hell House LLC, which just announced its 5th film, or the Blackwell Ghost, which just released its 8th film.
Yeah.
So I think these are cool. I like these
cool.
like kind of niche franchise films that are only really for like a specific, like a subgenre niche audience.
Yeah, I love it.
If you can make a living off that and like make these films, that's the dream.
Yeah, it's a cool little community. So.
Yeah. So shout out to all of our found footage fans. You guys are awesome. You keep these things going. I know a lot of people hate this style, but the people who love it, love it. It's a huge split in the horror community.
Yeah.
You talk to people who are like fucking hate found footage, and then it's almost always one way or the other.
Yeah.
Oh, I fucking love found footage. Oh my god, I hate found footage. Like I rarely hear like, yeah, found footage is fine. I hear it once in a great while, but for the most part, hardcore one way or the other.
We're the hardcore lovers.
Love it.
So.
When done well.
Yeah, it's awesome.
You know. So yeah, I look forward to part 4. Hopefully, I will be at that premiere as long as my wife is invited. If she's not invited, then I ain't coming.
It would be really cool to go.
But she is just as much Sinister Cinema at this point as I am. So we're a package deal. You can't divvy us out individually.
Divvy us up.
All right, guys. Yeah, definitely let us know in the comments. And Amazon is, I think, the only place. And if you go to Just Watch, it's not even on there yet. I think it came out today. So
check it out.
Watch it. Watch all 3. All right, Dutch. Thank you so much for sending this to us.
Thank you.
And
keep making
we'll
stuff.
see you eventually.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Bye.